We are in verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Reference to the suns, moons, and stars. All of the host of heaven, which can also by extension refer to the angelic host, being shaken. Then will appear in heaven the sign of the Son of Man, and then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory, and he will send out his messengers with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. In the motif of Jesus' return, whether it's Matthew 24, Revelation chapter 1, 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, passages that people say this is the second coming, passages that say this is the rapture. They have one thing in common. Three things, actually. You'll see these words. 3 or 4. Clouds, the messengers of God, angels, trumpets, and glory. Are those 4 words. Clouds, trumpets, glory, and then the messengers of God. Or the holy ones, as the case may be, in some areas. So if you see clouds, and if you see trumpets, and you see glory, and you see angels, messengers, holy ones, whatever the case, then you know you've got a passage that deals with the return of the Lord. Now, I'm not one who's going to be so granular as to pick apart which ones talk about the rapture, which ones talk about the second coming. I don't necessarily make that kind of a distinction. Okay? But I will say this. You see something referring to this, these are the signs that talk about and surround his return. Now, it says the moon will not give its light. Another passage says the moon turns to blood. I believe that's Joel 2, Acts 2. We are not talking about normal phenomenon that are currently observable as they are right now. We are not talking about the blood moon that NASA talks about. We are not talking about the typical solar eclipse. Those things are normal and predictable. This is not predictable. So when it happens, it will be different than anything else that we've ever seen that has preceded before it. Excuse me.
May I say something?
Go ahead.
You know how the moon goes in front of the sun? I think that's a solar eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
The sun,
That is.
The moon goes behind the sun. That's a lunar eclipse.
Behind the earth and throws its shadow on the sun?
I
Correct.
thought the lunar eclipse was in front of the sun. The
Thank
moon
you
in
for
front of the
that.
sun. Stop.
Go ahead.
Never mind, I'm good.
So, solar eclipse, moon between earth and sun, covering the sun, all you see is the corona. Lunar eclipse, sun on one side, moon on the other. Earth casts its shadow on the moon because the sun is throwing the shadow of the earth onto the moon.
It's throwing shade.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So, that is part of what is happening. So the reflection of the moon on the sun is getting blocked because the earth is crossing between the light path that connects the two objects. So,
I wonder if it's going to dark side.
Same thing. Alright, let's
More
not
moon.
derail.
I know that
it's more moon, and the Tsiolkovsky crater is nearby as well as other things. But what I'm saying is, we have eclipses all the time. They're normal and they're predictable. NASA can tell you 300 years out when the next series of eclipses are going to happen because they study this stuff all the time. You want to talk about redemptive gift of prophet? They take the principles, they reason from the principles, tell you when something is going to happen. Now, what he's talking about in Joel and in Acts and here in Matthew the stars will fall from heaven. The sun will actually be darkened. Some say another passage, if I remember correctly, says that it will be covered as with sackcloth. Like what you've seen before is not simply moon crossing over sun and blocking it out, and you can see the corona like any other time.
No one's going to be able to flip to any of the star charts or any of the things that people have projected and written and say, oh yeah, this is a predictable thing. The only thing they're going to be able to turn to is here, and with no timeline, but with oh my word, this is what was written 2, 3, 4, 5,000 years ago, depending on when this happens, because we don't know.
That's why when we get towards verse 44, he says, "Get ready." Readiness is a dynamic that is supposed to be overarching in our lives. Are we ready? Are we connected? Are we communicating? Are we hearing what he's saying? Or are we just flat out ignoring it? Oh, yawn, I've seen this before. No, you haven't seen this before. So you got all these crazy people that say, oh, maybe he's going to come because we have a blood moon and we have 4 blood moons in a row. We have tetrads and they're all appearing over America, even though most of these blood moons have not appeared over Israel. Goofiness, because they don't consider those sorts of things. When Jesus returns, it's going to be plain as day and clear as day. The question is, will we be ready? Are you planted and rooted and grounded in love? Are you stoning your parents in anger, offense, bitterness, betrayal, etc.? Are you discounting what he has given you and what he has told you to walk in? I guarantee you many times, if he's given it to you written out in his word, he's probably not going to speak up to you about it. And when Jesus spoke and didn't speak about certain things that the Old Testament spoke about, it's not because he said those things don't matter anymore. He affirmed the law completely. Not one jot or tittle shall pass away until all is accomplished. When we're in heaven with him, the law will be accomplished and the law will no longer be necessary. There are huge portions of the law that we discount because we think that they don't apply because we're not under the law, we're under grace. Jesus never said, just because you're under grace doesn't mean you're no longer having to follow the commands of God. You are still responsible. And if you think we're all up in your business, and if you think we're trying to fix you, it's because we see issues that need addressing. Like with the 3 of y'all, I'm not trying to fix y'all, I'm trying to point you back to your design. He loves you.
Plus, it's our responsibility to disciple you and teach you principles and help you bring principles out in the Word and learn how to do that, so that we can prepare you for the future. That's our job.
Yeah.
God has some very specific ways he wants y'all raised, and we need to follow what he's telling us, whether y'all like it or not.
If the Lord tells me don't feed y'all a lick of alcohol, there's a reason for it. Some of y'all might be called to be Nazarites. Go figure. So, my question to you, gang, is what are you doing right now to prepare you for what you're supposed to be doing? And are you falling prey to any of the distractions that you're not supposed to be falling prey to because you got idiots around you that have no clue what your design is? They don't care about your design. All they care about is, are you comfortable and are you happy? this life is not about what makes me happy, what makes me, so I can ignore my call of God and do whatever I darn well please. Now, God wants to bless us with things that fulfill us and satisfy us and make us happy. But first we have to find our fulfillment in Him and His design for us. If we try to go outside of His design to look for happiness, you're going to end with futility, confusion. I'm so confused, I'm so confused, I'm so confused, I'm so confused, I'm so confused. How many times have I heard that story? And it's just a fallback.
We are by design. If we walk in the design that God has for us instead of fighting against it, if we embrace who God made us to be and the things that He has for us, we're going to find the most fulfillment and joy and peace and love and the fruit of the Spirit. We're going to find that in the center of what God made us to be. He didn't make a mistake when He made us. He didn't make a mistake with our timeline. He didn't make a mistake with who we are, our design, our gender, our talents, our abilities, our body structure. He didn't make a mistake. He didn't make a mistake with the little kids that are born with cancer and everyone freaks out, or somebody who's born with Down syndrome, or a deformed limb. There is a purpose in it. It's hard to understand. And I can't explain all the things of God, and I'm not going to get tripped up trying. I know that God's purposes are good. He set apart, time before the foundation of the earth to write a book of our lives. He looked into His magnificent picture, saw where we would fit in to what? What's the goal? To further the kingdom. So we each have pieces inside of us, a little key or a big key to further the kingdom. But you know what? Instead of making us all monkeys and puppets, He made us with free will. And the free will is where there's some stumbling going on, because the free will means you can choose to find that key and use it or not. But you aren't going to find that, that joy, that fulfillment, that sense of purpose and that satisfaction. You're not going to find it outside of going through what it takes to find the key or keys He has for you and using them to further the kingdom in the way He designed you to do it. And it's your free will that goes through that process. You have each been designed, built with problems to solve. Big problems, little problems throughout your life, and a lifetime problem. There are problems we're designed to solve that no one else can solve.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to seriously take that into account. This thing that we are trying to raise you with and teach you has nothing to do with going to church on a Sunday morning from 10 to 12. That's not it. That there is nothing wrong with fellowship of believers gathering together and worshiping God. And it's a joy, and there's ways to serve, and there's ways to build community, but that is a little tiny part of our whole week. So it is wrong to think that this is my walk with God over here and the rest of the time is mine. Our whole design is His. Everything we are is His. All of our money, all of our stuff, all of our desires. There are desires inside of us that people go, well, that can't be godly, and because it doesn't fall in line with their religious ideas. But it's not true. Her desire to draw and be artistic is something God gave her as a gift. Right? Okay? My desire for animals and for land is a gift from God. If I decide to just work with animals, and I donate my resources to working with animals, I'm walking in God's design for me. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with that. I've been criticized for it many times, but I'm way past that now. But see, we are teaching you principles that you would not have access to any other way, that will help you unlock the things in your life earlier so you can live a life of satisfaction and fulfillment. One of the reasons there's such a heavy problem in this world of suicide, of alcoholism, of drug addiction, of people looking for power, people hoarding money. Why? They're trying to fill that spot inside. And they're trying to fill it wrongly. If we fill that hunger inside to be satisfied, the only thing that's going to satisfy us is to walk with Him. And it's the truth. And I am convinced. You couldn't possibly. I've lived 55 years, and I've lived it both ways. And I've screwed up big, and I've pursued the wrong things, and I was miserable, and on the edge of suicide, and I made other people miserable, and it was horrible. And when I was much older than you before I got a hold of anything that said, I need to live my life for Christ, not go to church for 2 hours a week, or Sunday and Wednesday, or Sunday night and Sunday and Wednesday. It wasn't that. That is a magnificent gift to have a fellowship of believers. But our life is Romans 12:1 and 2. That on the altar, moment by moment sacrifice. That I am yours. That reaching out to Him in worship and awe. Finding God moments. When we've said to you guys, what are your God moments? And you'd be like, that's not a that's a lifestyle of choosing to look for God interacting with you in moments of the day.
So He's trying to interact with you, and you're just like,
That's not a chore. That's not a heavy task. That's not something that we're doing to make you miserable. We're doing it to help you see God through your day. He's all through your day if you look for it.
Yeah.
He is. He is. And it's not just things that you think are religious. There's all kinds of wonderful ways that He meets with you. And He's going to meet with me differently than He meets with you. I can see a butterfly fly by, and I can have an intimacy moment with God. Because that would matter to me. But yeah, sorry, this is a real deep, passionate topic for me. So
we'll hit part 2 about this tomorrow. But gang, y'all be blessed, and we love you, and we will talk to you another time. See ya. Bye.